Welcoming American bombers would be, well, an act of suicide. A retired US Air Force colonel has warned that transferring B-2 Spirit bombers to foreign hands is pretty much like handing the holy grail of stealth warfare to a regional arsonist. Yet, US lawmakers began this month by proposing a bill that would authorize the US military to transfer these aircraft to Israel. The legislation introduced in Congress not only breaks a nearly 4-decade strategic tradition, but also opens Pandora's box at one of the most volatile moments of the 21st century. The transfer would include bunker-busting bombs, a move that could escalate Middle East tensions and ignite a conflict of, honestly, unprecedented scale. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us until the end, because what you're about to hear could really change how you view global power. We will give you all the details you need to understand what is truly happening and help you stay one step ahead. This is News for Dummies, where we break it all down to foster your critical understanding of current events. Israel has tied a noose around its own neck. Representatives Josh Gottheimer and Mike Lawler have dusted off a bill aimed at inserting the crown jewel of American aviation into Israeli arsenals: the B-2 Spirit stealth bomber paired with GBU-57 bunker-busting bombs. These 13,600-kilogram weapons can drill through 60 meters of rock before detonation. The bill, cynically titled the Bunker Buster Act, would authorize President Donald Trump to take steps to ensure Israel is prepared for any contingency, should Iran attempt to develop a nuclear weapon. So states the interventionist rationale signed by both congressmen to applause from pro-Israel lobbying groups. Gottheimer, an influential member of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, dressed up the justification with Washington's familiar mantra, preserve Israel's qualitative military edge in the region while maintaining the capacity to deter Iran. In the same declaration, Lawler emphasized that the proposal grants the president the authority to equip Israel with the tools and training necessary to deter Tehran. These fluorescent soundbites, heavy with cynicism, ignore the fact that the Middle Eastern skies are already saturated with American gunpowder. The only thing new is the scale. Never since its inaugural flight in 1989 has a B-2, only 19 remain operational, been offered to any ally. The idea isn't new. Gottheimer attempted it in 2022 and again in 2024 unsuccessfully. But now he's seizing upon a feverish climate Washington itself fueled on June 22nd when B-52 Stratofortress bombers assisted Israel in launching 14 of those same bunker-busting bombs on Natanz, Forau, and Isfahan. From Tehran, Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi stated that technology and science for nuclear enrichment cannot be destroyed by bombs. If the will exists on our part to resume progress in this field, we can quickly repair the damage and recover lost time. His statement was backed by assessments leaked to the European press. Intelligence services concluded that enriched uranium reserves remain largely intact and that the strikes have set the program back only a few months. The smoldering aftermath of the bombs, far from subduing Iran, triggered a legislative reflex in Tehran. This week, the Consultative Assembly passed a law immediately enacted by President Masoud Pezeshkian suspending automatic cooperation with the International Atomic Energy Agency. Similarly, it delegates all future inspections to the Supreme National Security Council. Araghchi explained that Iran's patience with the agency's double standards ran out when it remained silent in the face of Israeli-American bombings. China, observing the geopolitical chessboard from the front row in Beijing, reacted with a grimace. The Chinese government accused the United Nations Nuclear Agency of hypocrisy for failing to condemn the raids on Iranian facilities. For Beijing, transferring the B-2 Spirit to Israel doesn't just fracture the architecture of non-proliferation, it legitimizes the doctrine of preventive strikes, which Washington invokes when it suits its Pacific strategy. Chinese diplomacy, shrewdly pointed out that if the United States breaks its own technological taboos, well, what's to stop other powers from crafting their own exceptions? That backdrop really reveals the White House's historical obsession with propping up Israeli supremacy. In 2005, George W. Bush approved the transfer of bunker buster bombs to Tel Aviv. Then, in 2016, Barack Obama signed a $38 billion military aid memorandum. But the B-2 is, honestly, a different beast. Each one costs over $2 billion, flies thanks to a composite skin that blurs radar signatures, and carries precisely the bomb now being offered. Handing over that technology would, in effect, launch an invisible arms race whose only winner would be the US military-industrial complex. Even so, Gottimer and Lawler have found fertile ground in Congress, where Republicans and Democrats, take turns posturing tough on Iran. The narrative of a malevolent Iran crouched behind uranium centrifuges helps justify any lethal transfer, even as intelligence agencies, acknowledge the Persian program has not crossed the nuclear weapons threshold. What do you think about the US possibly giving B-2 bombers to Israel, while Iran's nuclear program remains below weapons grade levels? Give us your opinion in the comment box below. Paradoxically, the legislation claims it aims to make the world a safer place while placing the heaviest ticking time bomb beneath the negotiating table. Transferring a B-2 to the Israeli Air Force would give Tel Aviv the capacity to strike not only Iran, but also Chinese facilities in the Red Sea and critical infrastructure in the Gaza Strip. That prospect alarms Beijing, a key investor in the Belt and Road Initiative that passes through Iran, Iraq, and Syria, and which also possesses a bomber no less formidable than America's. Iran, far from halting its operations, has shifted into high gear. Engineers are reviewing blueprints and checking fiber optic connections in Ford. Surface-to-air missiles with a 1,700-kilometer range are being repositioned in tunnels carved deep into the Zagros Mountains. The logic is clear. If Washington believes bunkers can be cracked open with explosives, Iran will simply dig deeper. And every additional meter means weeks of work and tons of concrete, which Beijing, Moscow, or even Ankara are willing to supply without asking questions. In this high-stakes game, the noose tightens not just around Israel, but around the entire Western alliance system. Europe, still dependent on Gulf oil and trade routes through the Strait of Hormuz, watches in panic at the potential for a naval blockade or a regional blaze that would send oil prices soaring. By gifting Tel Aviv America's engineering marvel, Washington may be sowing the seeds of a diplomatic backlash. A Beijing, Tehran, Moscow axis could find in mutual nuclear technological defense the only insurance policy against gunboat diplomacy. In summary, the Bunker Buster Act represents far more than a military transfer. It's honestly a tectonic shift in global strategy. By contemplating the delivery of B-2 stealth bombers and bunker-busting firepower to Israel, Congress is tearing down strategic taboos and escalating the stakes across the Middle East and beyond. Historically, US administrations have quietly supported Israel's qualitative edge. Today, however, the proposed move amplifies that posture into a full-blown leap of escalation. The winners could be, the military-industrial complex and hawkish policymakers eager to project force, while the losers would be diplomatic channels, regional stability, and the Western alliance's credibility. In the short term, expect sharper tension with Tehran intensified military posturing in the region and alarm rippling through Beijing, Moscow, and European capitals. Long term, this could spur a new arms race, erode arms control norms, and deepen fractures in global alliances. Experts quoted by international media warned that this is a precedent that will reverberate far beyond the Middle East. The core question now is whether deterrence through overwhelming firepower can sustain peace, or if it inevitably leads to sharper confrontation. As the balance of power teeters, the stakes become existential. Will escalation protect or provoke? Will alliances fracture under pressure or coalesce against common threats? In this defining moment, we must ask, can brute force secure safety or only invite retaliation and instability? What do you think? Will this mark the beginning of a dangerous spiral? Or is it a necessary deterrent? Let us know below. Smash that like button if you found this analysis eye-opening and hit subscribe so you never miss a beat in this global chess game. And coming up next, our video deep dive into China's expanding influence through its Belt and Road military strategy. Don't miss it.